You're only gonna see the chart screen. I have my other screen hidden, so if you can't see my screen, you may have to click on the live stream and just click show screen. But if everybody can hear me, if you're not looking at a SPY chart, you can look at one now. If you can't see my screen, but like I was saying, um, yeah. So if you want to see upside, I would look at the previous day's high for potential upside on that. So that would be the 450. What would I say? The 450. 383, which about 454 area. We're going to see a break of that for continued high. For potential downside, I think the break of that doji low would signal a potential downside day, or maybe more than a day. It just depends on what's going on in the events. But if we do see downside, we could see that last gap get filled, which is the below the 448 level. So you could see that get filled. If we do see downside streak, you could see the further gaps get filled, but I don't see that
There's like serious. I think
happening.
we all were like, "Is Tina the high harmony?" I was like, "Your voice is insane." I don't think anybody else on the show is like you, and that's really awesome. I know you say foreigner in the blinds, and
Okay.
but you didn't turn for me. I know, but you're incredible. And
Or
honestly,
maybe Kelly is full.
If you can mute your mics, please. Holy cow. Anybody who's not muted now, I'm just going to mute you. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see, we may see, with the follow of that doji candle, I think we might see a little bit of chop, a little bit of cooling off, maybe a little sideways motion before we see new continuous highs again, because as you can see in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, we have seen a massive uptrend of a lot of momentum, and so I think we might see potential a little bit of downside, but I don't think it's going to be anything like we did see this last sell-off. Just because we do have gaps does not mean they have to be filled. They will maybe eventually, but that doesn't mean they have to be filled automatically. So you'll see me enter swings on gaps. Um, if I do think the momentum will continue, just because there's a gap doesn't mean it automatically has to be filled. 9 out of 10 times they will eventually, but it doesn't mean they're going to get filled tomorrow or the following day. So I mean, potentially the next sell-off we could see those get filled, but I don't think that's anything we should have to worry about right now, unless we do get some negative events within the stock market itself, which could cause another sell-off like we saw before. And we're going to look at the Qs, which are actually in comparison, they have been quite weaker than the SPY. So as you can see right here, they have been consolidating. They haven't seen a new high like the SPY did. I'm sorry if I keep pausing. I want to keep going back to my Discord and make sure everything's good. We do see this consolidation area right here that it has been doing, and I think I think we could see upside as long as everything goes in the political aspect. But for potential upside, I would look at around the break of these two candles right here. These last two red days that we had. I think a break of those, which is around the 377, would push us back above this one and potentially up to around the 379, 380 level. And I want to go over, that's just the two main that I look at are SPY and Qs, which is most other people as well. But I do want to go over our swings that we're holding right now. Before I take chart requests, before I go over those. So right now we're holding CVS, and as you can see, we did get the break. We did do a front run on that break. Well, I do that a lot of times. I'll do that with a starter position. If I think a stock is going to break out of a major formation, then I will take a starter position and kind of front run that break, and with a tighter stop. That way, if it does reject, you lose a couple percent. But if it doesn't reject, you get the whole move instead of a half-assed move of you entering in halfway through a breakout. So I do think we are going to see continuation up through earnings, which is on November 3rd. As you can see on Friday, we did see it did sell off a little bit at the beginning of the day, but we did see a solid uptrend the latter half of the day, which is a great. It finished super strong too, which is a great move. The bullish flow was like crazy good, and I'm kind of happy that we got in early. We did. We never went red on the trade, which is amazing. It was a really good entry. But for this, we're gonna go to the weekly channel time frame and kind of look at it from there as well. I don't know if my internet's going to shit or what, cause now nothing wants to load. I lived in the new house and I paid for A+ internet, but I don't think I got it. So yeah, this is what it looks like on a weekly time frame, and that was because what I was looking at when we entered it. We entered it candlestick wise right below this upper trend line right here. It has rejected it a couple times, but it's only going to reject so many times before it completely rejects or it breaks through. And as you can see, it was kind of making an upward movement towards the upper channel, which is kind of what gave me the idea to go ahead and I disconnected again. I may have to do this in Zoom next time. Everybody should be able to see my screen again. So yeah, that was what I was looking at on CVS. And as far as Zim goes, this is one that I've traded actually a lot that nobody ever talks about. What is wrong, man? Wow, they gave me some shitty internet, I guess. Yes, I am doing a recording of this very low quality live stream that I am doing right now. Now nothing loads. I don't know what the issue is. Fucking. I'll start recording again. This is CVS. We just went over that. Zim. I can't get anything to load. So Zim, I did take on the break of this channel. Actually, I took it on the red day right here. I was actually kind of expecting further continuation. Yeah, I'm gonna do Zoom next time. Because there's nothing wrong with my computer, and actually my internet, I did a speed test on it and it's perfectly fine. So it definitely has to be on Discord's side. So anyway, you've been disconnected. Sit tight. patching you back in. I'm sure you are, Discord. I'm sure you are. A lot of supply chain issues are getting fixed. I just started the recording again on accident. So this is the Zim chart. This is what I was looking at. I got in on the second day of the break of this wedge, triangle, whatever. MACD went bullish on the first day of the break, so that's also a good sign. I do have a relatively tight stop on this. I've played it a lot of times. It doesn't move very quickly. The premiums don't move very quickly. Nobody talks about this one, but it can rack up some money. And it doesn't matter if anybody talks about it as long as it goes continuously. So we got, I think we're in the November calls right now. I do think we could see some continuation, but like I said, I do have a fairly decent size, decent tight stop on it, just in case it does break back into this formation. Because if we see it break like below the 47.50 range, it could fall back into this continuation right here. If we see that, that's pretty much what I would call no man's land. That's just going to be bouncing back and forth. But we did break the 8, and we did throw a hammer off of the 8 EMA. So it does look like it could go in for a reversal here and continue this uptrend, which is good. So now I'm actually, it looks like now, and I am going to go over some chart requests that some people were putting into the chart request channel. It looks like Discord's holding up fairly decent now. I'm going to start at the top. First one asked about was Amazon. So we'll go over that one real quick. Man, I don't know. So Amazon, a lot of FANG did see some solid red on Friday. So Amazon lost the 8-day right here. It is going to look like it's going to go for another bearish reversal on the MACD. I think if we do see more downside, we could see another test of this trend line right here, the top of this channel right here. But I don't think the FANG red side is going to continue on. It just depends on FANG as a whole. You know, as most people know, when it comes to FANG, if one thing gets a negative catalyst, and it reacts heavily to it, then others could react just as well. So we did see Netflix on the earnings sell-off, other things kind of followed along with. I mean, not Netflix. It was Snap, which is not technically part of FANG. So Snap did see this earning. This is why I don't really like to play earnings too terribly much, because it is a gamble. So as we saw, the previous earnings report on Snap was extremely well, and it did a really good gap up that it never really continued off of. It stayed in this consolidation until the next earnings report, which was not as well, and so you saw that gap down come right back. So we do have two gaps to fill eventually. I think if you are a Snap bull, then this is actually probably a good place, somewhere around this area, to get into Snap as a long-term hold. Equity, I wouldn't go into any type of calls right now because the downside could continue. We're gonna do Shopify. So I already have it. Oops. So as you can see, we're gonna get rid of this one. Shop did reject. It is kind of doing like a broadening formation right now. Just because it rejects the top trend line doesn't mean it's gonna always follow through and go to the bottom. But I think with Shopify, we might, if we don't see chop up until earnings report, which is this yellow line right here, then we will see possibly downside up into the earnings report. But I honestly think Shop might chop around until the earnings report. from what I've read, Shopify's earnings report is pretty undecisive as of right now, for multiple reasons. So that being said, there's kind of a lot of uncertainty when it comes to it. So when it's in this formation, I don't really play um, the bouncing off the broadening formations. I don't think the follow through is as well. Nvidia. And earnings seasons, if you guys didn't know, sucks. I'm not a big fan of earnings seasons when it comes to option plays, because it limits your swing abilities. It limits your how long you can hold things, if you can hold things overnight. Um, IVs are all jacked up and whatnot. When it comes to your long-term accounts, your Roths and whatnot, um, earnings reports are amazing because you can see the outlook of the company that you're holding or that you possibly want to get into. So when it comes to equity commons, earnings season, like it's awesome. But when it comes to short dated swings or short dated option plays, um, it sucks. I'm not a gambler. I don't like to not know if I have a good probability of the trade going my way. So I don't really play things through earnings. So Nvidia actually has been looking really good, which a lot of semis have. But you have to, when it comes to semis, you have to watch the earnings report on all of them. So you saw INTC, their earnings report was good, but the revenue outlook was slim, coming forth towards the next earnings season. So, and also their CFO announced that he was resigning. So that kind of hurt INTC, but that didn't hurt Nvidia or all the other ones as a whole. But it is something to watch out for, because if INTC's revenues outlook were slim because of the chip shortage or lack thereof, then that could follow through to the other chip stocks, other semis. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking at something holding long term. Nvidia could see the same type of revenue outlook as the other ones. So look at AMD or look at SMH as a whole, TSM. But Nvidia does actually look really good. It looks like it's trying to break out again. So like, I'll actually do this as a channel. So this channel right here is kind of been bouncing in between. I think if we do see a solid break over the 230 with a close over that, then we could see more potential upside and continuation to the upside, kind of like we saw down here. It's probably choppy on your guys' side, but so we saw it bounce around in this channel right here, and it finally did break above that on earnings season, which is good. And it followed up through and did the same thing here up to earnings season. It kind of did the same exact pattern as it did down here in this channel, and it's looking like it's doing it again. So if we could see a breaker over that, a solid clean break over that 230, not on a 5-minute chart or anything, I'm talking like on a daily chart, a solid clean break over that 230 range, then we could see continued upside. So actually that's one of my top, so I'm probably looking at for this week. CRM kind of, I gotta mention. Would you call that a cup and handle on Nvidia? More of a cup, but I've said this before. A lot of times you'll get these cup formations like this, but you'll never see a handle on it. So I don't ever assume that a cup is going to throw a handle until it actually does. A lot of these, I like to call these rounded formations. I'm not sure what the exact term for it is. I know there's rounded bottoms if it's like on the bottom of the chart or whatever the case may be. But a lot of these rounded formations, you'll see follow directly through. But the ones that do bounce off of this upper trend line right here are more likely to throw a handle off of the cup. But I never assume that it's going to throw a handle, because a lot of times they don't, and then you'll miss an opportunity. I don't assume it's going to be a handle until it's a handle. Oh, inverse. Potentially, but I think we're looking at right now is going to be just continuation, hopefully, unless you see a rebound off of this upper trend line up here. So like I said, just look for that 230 break, a solid clean 230 break, and I think it'll be okay. Let's look at CRM. I like CRM. It's been actually pretty good lately. So this would be more of like a, not even a cup and handle because it's already broke the top of the cup. But it is throwing a flag up right here. I did have that. Like I said, so this was potentially a cup or a rounded formation right here, and it broke right through that up into this area consolidation up here. A lot of people were like, oh, it's going to throw another handle right here. I never assumed that at the top of the cup. I always assume that it's going to go, and if it does, it does. If it doesn't, then get stopped out, whatever. So it is doing a bull flag right here. And CRM has seen a lot of strength lately. I assume that it's going to keep going. It does have a gap down here, so if we do see solid sell-off, it could go fill it, but I don't think so. Especially the close on Friday, it closed very strong. We could see continuation coming into this week. So that being said, I would look for a break of Friday's high, which is around the 293. So look like for like a 294 break for good continuation chances. CVS, I just went over. Uber. A lot of the ride sharing ones have been kind of iffy lately. So in Lyft and Uber. Uber did break out of this wedge like a while back, but it has like no follow through since. So it broke out of that wedge and kind of entered this consolidation area right here. Buyers really still haven't stepped in. Usually once we get a breakout of a formation like that, you'll see buyers step in and you see continuation move on. But I think with the undecisiveness with ride sharing, that we're just going to see chop until we reach the earnings report because people don't know exactly how how everything's going. Things are opening back up. Most things are opening back up. As a nation. So ride sharing should be picking back up. But I don't think until we see earnings report that we see the undecisiveness kind of go away. Because the last earnings report, if I remember right, wasn't that good. The same thing with Lyft. And so ride sharing has been kind of iffy. So I think until this earnings report on the first week of November, we'll see choppiness up until then. AMD. Yeah, so AMD is definitely going to make a new high very soon. It has a lot of momentum with it. It didn't see a good day on Friday, but a lot of tech didn't see a good day on Friday. So that's something to remember. But actually, we can go ahead and get rid of that wedge that did form, and we are going to turn it to more of a cup shape right here. My favorite patterns are wedges to cups because follow through wedge on continuation will eventually turn into a cup, and we want to see it break that high. For continuation up to the high, I would definitely look at a break of that the previous day high. So a break of that Friday will definitely send it to the high, and you're always gonna look at all-time high as resistance. But once we're over that high, it's uncharted territory, so you can use fibs or whatever to do your levels. But at that point, you use price action to kind of vary if it's going to continue to go or not. Price action on 15-minute time frames really for me on if I like to see it go 15 or 10, 3-minute if I'm only scalping. But earnings for AMD is coming up, so this is something that you're gonna have to remember when it comes to all semis. Like I said, for INTC, you can kind of look at the earnings and kind of use that judgment for other major semis as well. But I do think we are going to see a new high probably before the earnings report, which is on October 26th, which is what, Tuesday? So we could see a break of that high. I'm not sure if it's pre or post market. That will make a difference. If it's pre-market on Tuesday, then we might not see a high before then. But if it's post-market on Tuesday, we might see a high on Tuesday. That's if we get continuation this week. It just depends on how tech does as a whole. If we see tech sell off, then you are going to see AMD not be as strong because it's definitely a market dependent stock a lot of times. Can someone answer the question? Let me go to the next one. I lost my channel. Let's look at snow real quick. I haven't played snow in a while after it broke out of the cup because it's kind of been wishy-washy ever since. So this was a good cup and handle example though. As you can see, it did reach the top of this cup right here and completely reject it once it finally did take that top right here. So as you can see, the a doji, whatever you want to deem it as, and gap down, and that's when it formed the handle. But snow looks like it's on a decent uptrend. But snow's one of those ones that can just move $20 in a day in silence. That being said, we are in lower resistance territories. Now that we're out of this cup right here, there is a lot of less profit taking. Not as many people bought at the highs up here as they did through this cup right here. So I'm going to move the volume by price to right before the highs right there. And as you can see in this area to the right, I'll make this bigger. As you can see in this area to the right, there's a lot less lower volume. So if it breaks out of this consolidation area right here, because it has been doing a kind of sideways movement for the last week. I always look for breaks on snow out of an area of consolidation, and a lot of times it can just do a 20-point move for no reason. No catalyst, no nothing. It's just a volume. It's just one of those stocks that can do that, and it's really nice if you can catch it at the beginning of the day because most of the move happens at the beginning of the day. So if you look at a break of, I would say 345 to be just as a psych level. If you can see a solid break over 345, then you could see a continuation for a day. But it is also one of those that can throw a 20-point move in one day and nothing the next day. It can go completely red the next day. So this isn't one that I hold overnight. There is some stocks that I have as a list that I will deem as candidates for overnight holds on weeklies. Snow is not one of them. Like I said, it can do a 20-point move in one day and just completely cool off the next day. You can kill your whole premium. SE. So SE did break out of this flag right here. I'm actually upset that I missed that move because I was waiting on it. But it is bouncing off the 8 right here. So if we do lose that 8, you could see downside again. Again, like it's happened before. But so a lot of times, on these breaks, you look for a 50% back retracement of the breakout, and then it'll follow through again. So you can kind of round that off. It doesn't have to be exactly 50%. Nothing's exact on the market. There's no exact support. There's never no exact resistance. I hear that. I feel like I disconnected. But so if you look for, like, let's see if this works as a good example. So it made this break out of this area right here, right? And it came up to here to a new high and retraced back to right here before bouncing off this lower trend line again and then doing a new high again. And so it could come back down to about, probably, I would say that, and like everything I say is market dependent, but it could see a retracement back down to 345, 350, and then redoing that once over. So anytime you see a big breakout, you could possibly see a retracement 50% back through the breakout, and then it'll follow through once again. It's just the way it works. It's just the cycle of the market. It's just a lot of times it's just the stock digesting what exactly just happened. So a lot of times you'll see consolidation directly after a breakout, and that's just digesting the move that happened. And it depends on the buyers and sellers if that move is going to continue to keep going. Blink. I don't think I've ever charted Blink before because it's never one that I've played. But I can see some. Let's do it from the high. So this could see a technical breakout actually very soon. And when it comes to fully technical, no catalyst, then it's usually a small pop. A lot of times you see that on like skills. But this is also, this could bank off of I would assume. I'm not sure exactly the difference between F-Cell, the one that's being pumped on Twitter right now, but this could possibly be a sympathy play. But you could see a technical breakout here if you see that previous day high break again. So around, I would say the $30. If you see like a close over that $30, you could see continuation for a day or two. But without any positive catalyst on stocks like this, you're not going to see a reversal. And that's just that. Technicals aren't going to make anything reverse. Boeing, yeah, we'll look at Boeing. If you can mute your mics, please. I can hear somebody yawning. I know it's late. Yeah, so Boeing did it did us dirty actually, because I know Eva was in a swing on Boeing, I believe. As you can see, Boeing definitely faked us out up here. It consolidated right at the upper trend line right here, gave us a good solid pump above it, and then just completely crashed back down. A lot of this was due to Delta Airlines got their earnings and they announced that they were having a fuel shortage issue or fuel price issue along with everybody else. Hello, gas is $3.30 here. But it is approaching this bottom trend line again, which could possibly be a good place for a bounce as it is approaching its own earnings report. But you got to remember when it comes to sectors, if a major stock in the sector announces an issue that could overflow into other ones, then they're likely to announce kind of the same issue. So that's something to remember. But yeah, it is approaching earnings on October 27th, so that's something to watch out for. I wouldn't bank on anything until that earnings report is over. TSM, yeah, we'll look at another semi. Why not? Somebody in here has been banking on TSM. I know. I know Sco, or I can't remember how to pronounce your name. But yeah, TSM has been in this channel right here, which is a good play if you like bounce plays, because it seems like every time it does hit it, it does bounce eventually. Like right here, it did consolidate a couple days, but it did bounce back up to the upper trend line, and then came back down, and then bounced back up to the upper trend line. You know, even back here, it came down to this lower trend line and bounced up to the upper trend line, and so it's bouncing this channel right here. So if you do like bounce plays, I would recommend these being short term, not very long term swings. But for continuation up to this upper trend line, I would look for a break over this little area consolidation. So, and over this volume node right here, which will be around the 118 range, and then the 119.5 would be areas I would look for a break up to the 125. I know Scope. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, cool. Okay. And we'll look at your Marvel, because these are two that you've been playing consistently well. And kudos to you. Yeah, this has actually been on like a very, very good streak. But so as you can see, every time it goes on one, it is going to retrace a little bit, and you could see that soon. It's halfway through earnings reports right now, so that's nothing that you really have to be concerned about on this one. I don't think you're going to see a retracement back to this trend line here. You possibly could, but I would look for a break of the 8-day EMA. If you're looking for like a stop loss, then I would definitely look for a break of the 8-day EMA, which is around the 65. If you're looking for a break for continuation, I would definitely look over the $68 range. It is kind of low right now so if you do see a 68 break in a single day from now, at that point it would probably be a little bit extended to enter in then. But yeah, overall we'd look for a break of that 68, but it does look good. It does look like it might need to cool off a little bit again. Palantir, yeah, we'll look at PLTR. I don't like play this one. I feel like the momentum behind it kind of screws it up as a company. There's too many people talking about it all the time. But so I had it as a wedge before it did do us dirty on that fake out, and then it got the good news, which sent it down. I'm not exactly sure what that was about. But for another bounce up to this area right here, I would definitely look for a break back over that 25 area, which is like it seems to be a high level of psych for a lot of people. So look for a solid break over that $25. I would look for it on a daily time frame for confirmed continuation that it is going to be going up. Right now it does look like it is consolidating within this volume node right here. That's good. It could send it back up. I don't foresee very much downside here because it does have a pretty large following. I could be wrong, but area consolidation does look like people are accumulating right here, so a break over that 25 could send it back up to maybe $30. Peloton. Yeah, so this is ever since that kid got stuck in the treadmill and died, it's been kind of on a wishy-washy phase. But as you can see, I had this charted up before. This major area right here, this demand zone right here, has been an area of accumulation for a lot of people. So every time it hits there, buyers really step in, and it just bounced off there recently. So you could see continuation again. Back up to the upside. I'm going to move this volume by price to the all-time high. Kind of give us. It does have a lot of resistance on the upside. I think it's gotten some good news, bad news consistently lately. So high areas of volume, you could see profit takers from the undecisiveness, but it is also approaching earnings in the first week of November, so that's something to watch for. But if you're looking for a short-term play, I would look for a break above this area, which will also be the break of this high right here, which will be around the 95.5 range, and you could see that come up to at least $100. I would imagine 101. I wouldn't expect a move, as you can see right here. That was a pretty big move. UPST, yeah, UPST actually looks good right now. Again, it retraced a little bit. It's always looked good, but it is good that it's cooling off a little bit. It's going to give, I want to swing it. I'm just waiting on the right moment, so I'm going to take these fibs off real quick. So I think it could bounce again here very shortly. Because it didn't pull back on negative news as far as I know, so that's good. But it is right below this high right here. I would like to see, but it has retraced around 50% from the last time, from the previous lows of that last breakout. So what I would like to see right here is, let's pull up to 21. So it is throwing a hammer off the 21. It could bounce here possibly, but if you do see a break of that 21, you could see it back into this consolidation area, which would be around the $300 range. That 21 EMA right now is $333. But right here would be a good place for a bounce if it does want to bounce, which I think it does. But look for a re-break of that 8, so it's stuck between the 8 and the 21 right now, so it's support and resistance. So I would look a re-break of that 8, which is around the $355 range, for continuation back up to the upside. Next one, MU, yeah. I think this has some more time. I judged this wrong when I could have actually. So we did try to swing it previously, and that actually would have worked out a little better. But I cut it kind of early because Goldman Sachs they did downgrade it the morning after we entered the swing. So I figured the downside wasn't quite done yet, and so that's when I exited. I just think this has more time though before it's completely ready. I don't think it's done just going to the downside yet. I think we could see possibly a basing at around 65, as you can see in this area right here. But I don't think we're going to see back below 65. So if you see a retracement back to that area, it would be good if you're doing equity commons to grab some shares there. But while it's in this area, I don't plan on trying to swing it again or play calls. Sava. I haven't played this one in a while for obvious reasons. Really not much to talk about here. It's gonna base. It looks like it's just gonna base in this channel here. Oops. It's looks like it's gonna be one of those things where it's just gonna base here until it gets news. So a lot of things aren't gonna move until they get news. We can deem it as technically related, but a lot of times positive catalyst, 99% of the time positive catalyst is what's gonna cause a reversal, not technicals. So until it gets one, then this area of consolidation right here, this area of volume right here, is going to be where it's going to base at. But if you're in it right now and you're looking for a stop and be like, hey, I don't want it anymore, I would look for confirmed move under that $40 range. Then it could see further downside there. VIAC for leaps. I tried it once off of a possible acquisition with another company, but that fell through. VIAC does look okay for leaps eventually, and it will be eventually. This is one of those ones that you can buy leaps and hope that eventually somebody acquires this company or whatever the case may be. But until then, it's literally just going to do this. So you can buy leaps with the hopes that it happens eventually. They're cheap-ish, and you can hold them for maybe a month and get rid of it, and then buy a new one and hold it for a month and get rid of it, and not really lose any premium because data's not really going to touch you that much with leaps as long as you buy a year plus out. But until it gets some type of news, this thing is not going to go anywhere. It's going to base exactly where it is. I don't foresee very much downside ever happening, but that's not deemed implausible. So under 35, I would say it could see further downside because this used to be a cheaper stock, as you can tell. I mean, it is a pretty old stock. Just in March of 2020, it did reach all the way down to $10. So don't think downside is impossible. I just don't think it is going to happen. I would look for under 35 if you are in it right now. Pfizer, yeah, we'll look at Pfizer. This is actually kind of funny. I posted this on Twitter, and it had like 5 people DM me this wedge right here before it broke out, and told me that that wedge wasn't meaning anything and it wasn't going to break out. It may be a technical break, I don't know. But it definitely did break out of this wedge right here, and it does look like it is coming for a reversal. It's back over the 8 and the 21, which is good. I'm not sure if it's running up due to earnings or positive catalyst or what, but it does look actually good in terms of reversal now. So it did break up back, like I said, above that 8 and 21. For short-term plays, I would look at a break of 44-ish or 43.5 if you want to play calls. That looks like a good level. That volume by price is way too far back. We're going to put it right there. So as you can see, it is in this volume node right here. So a break above that would send it into this lower area of volume here. Like I said, a break around that 43.5 would be a good area to play short-term calls in on a good day. Now, what is now? Oh yeah, okay. So as you can see, it did kind of do like a half-assed round of formation here. It did break that previous high, and did throw a hammer right off the top of the upper trend line. It could see further continuation. I'm not sure. Let's look at the weekly on this. This actually looks really good on the weekly. So it wasn't a flag here. As you can see, it did retrace a lot of this breakout right there, and it is following through again. So you could see that same movement here. So you saw it right here. Okay, so the larger area of the consolidation, usually the bigger the move is going to be. So this was a large area of consolidation right here that it previously did. in this weekly, and then it moved up, and now it's in this smaller area, but it is moving up again. So I would expect the continuation to be a little shorter this time, but I do think it does have more juice in the tank per se. But I would definitely look for a break over around the 690s again, and definitely 700 is going to be a psych level. So any solid 3-digit number like that, 2-digit number, all zeros, are heavy psych levels. Just like we saw with Tesla 900, solid psych levels. SCCO, copper, okay. This is the weekly time frame. This actually looks kind of good right there. Man, this would have been a really good move to catch. So this is the weekly time frame, so remember that we are in a larger time frame. So you saw a really good break out of this wedge right here. And then this last week we didn't see much continuation out of it, but a lot of times after a large break like that, you will see a little bit of slowdown movement. But it is throwing up a hammerish type of reversal, not reversal candle, but kind of it's not a bad candle. It's not a bearish candle per se, but it's off the 21, which is good. So it's held that 21. I would definitely look for another move over the 65 area, back to retest previous week's high, which would be around the 67. The area of volume that you're really gonna have to watch for. Let's pull this volume by price up a little bit closer to more relevant time frame. Once it does break that 65 again, or the 67, I'm sorry, you are gonna have to look at the 68.50 level. So you see right here was a large area of accumulation, so you're gonna see profit taking come in right there, and I'll have to move to that. So once it breaks that 65, really gonna, I mean the 68.5, you're really gonna have to watch this resistance area all the way up through the 72. But over that, you could see, as long as it continues, you could see further upside, possibly back up, and it may form a cup. BNTX. You guys are throwing me some ones I've never charted on before. So we're going to get rid of the EMA. We're just going to look at trend lines. So I just threw a generational trend line out that it looks like it's been following, and it did finally break through, and it looks like it probably had a negative catalyst here this week. But it has bounced off of that once again. So for further continuation, if you're looking at upside, then I would definitely look at a break of this week's high, and that'll bring it back above this trend line for further upside. But as you can see right here, it was forming a triangle here that it did break to the downside of, and that's when you saw that come in. So look at break up. I would just a safe bet would be over 300 again, over that psych level, if you're looking at a longer term. But if you're looking at want to play this short term, it does look like it is trying to reverse here. It is in, let's move this volume up price right here. It is in a low area of volume, so you could see it move up to, like I said, a break over at 300 is what this stock really needs again. And then over that, it is going to move to this lower area of volume fairly quickly. Possibly could see 330s again if it does break and close above that 300 range. But it does look like it is starting to try to reverse here, so that's a good sign for these shareholders. Oracle, yeah, we can look at Oracle. Yeah, I wish I bought equity in this a long time ago, but I didn't. And now I'm really kicking myself in the butt for it. So as you can see, Oracle did break out of this pretty long area right here. It took a little while. Retested it multiple times and finally broke out, and it looks like it is breaking out again to new highs. Right here, you see this channel it broke out of here, and it did close. It looks like on a new high, which is really good to do that bullish engulfing up. So for continuation, really, just positive price action tomorrow morning would deem this as a good stock for continuation. If you see it fall back below into this area consolidation, so around the 98 area, below that 98 area, it may fall back into this area consolidation right here. which is a good spot for a stop loss. So around the 9 to 8 area, you can see it fall back into here. Disney, ugh, I don't know why everybody likes Disney. I hate it. I love Disney movies. I hate the stock. It sucks. Price action on it is terrible. So Disney's been stuck in this channel. We're going to look at it on a higher time frame. It makes it a little easier because there's not much going on. Disney's been stuck in this this channel right here ever since it's high. So when it comes to that, I don't like to play things that are stuck in an area like that. I'll move this right here to the gap up. That's when a lot of people came in. I don't like to play things that are in what I like to call no man's land, because the price action is just wishy-washy. It's really hard to predict where exactly it's going. Even with a lot of the good catalysts Disney has got, it still has not been able to break out of, even the negative catalyst, it hasn't been able to break out above or below this channel right here, but it has been favoring the downside. So a break below it with a weakness in the market, I wouldn't deem improbable. But if you're looking for short-term plays, maybe like a swing for a couple days or whatever, if you really want to play Disney, then I would definitely look for a break back above this week's high, or a bounce here at the bottom of this channel around here, which is where it's at right now. So around the 169, which is where it's sitting. So it could bounce here. I wouldn't expect a super solid bounce, but it could deem a little bit of profits. SNDL, yeah, I don't really like this stock, but we'll chart it. Probably not much to talk about. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that are I stay away from things like this. We'll look at where the back holders started coming in, which was right there. So you're gonna see a lot of profit taking if it ever does break out again, of these people taking their money back. Not really much to talk about. It's just basing right here as it was right here. It got a technical pop, it looks like right here. Maybe some Twitter people pumped it or whatever, but it is doing the same thing again. You could possibly see another pop if it breaks above the 0.75 range, the 75-cent range. Target, yeah, we can look at Target. Man, Target is doing great on that reversal. So let's look right here. So you can see Target is in this lower area volume right here. It did break out of this little flag through right there. So this little flag right here, it did break out of that. It does look like it wants to keep going. It did retest it on the breakout, but it does look like it's moving back upwards, so that's a good sign. You could see it come up to the 260 range, 259 range. Once it hits that, it's going to see some resistance until it breaks above around the 263 range, is what the number I really want to see, and then you can see a new high again. But it is a really, really good reversal. So if anybody's having that reversal good, you should be well in profits. FedEx, yep. Holiday season is here. FedEx is actually not hit the gap yet, which is actually good, because I'm thinking about possibly entering in a swing on FedEx. I just kind of wanted to see it break this area here and enter this gap, kind of like UPS did. For that, you're going to want to see a break over this candle right here. That is the bottom of the gap, so around the 235 range. A solid close above that, good for a solid swing. So you actually might see a call out from me on that, especially with the holiday season coming up. They're going to be running their asses off along with UPS, and we'll look at UPS as well because they did extremely good. Yeah, so you can see I'm looking for FedEx to kind of do the same thing as UPS is doing right here. So you see UPS, as soon as they enter this gap right here, let's look at it bigger. So here's the top. Here's the bottom of this gap right here. So as soon as you can see it tested a few times, but as soon as it made a solid move above that gap right there, it just went crazy. And I don't think we're going to see. I think we're going to see continuation all the way up to the 210 range, which will be the top of the gap right there. But you will see resistance once it hits the top of that gap. PayPal. Yeah, PayPal. They just announced that they were acquiring Pinterest, which was good for Pinterest, but terrible. I'm not exactly sure what their reasoning was behind the acquisition. They're a payment-based company. They're a payment processing company acquiring a shoddy social media company. So I'm not exactly sure what the thought process is, and maybe they were trying to get back into the e-commerce since they lost eBay, whatever the case may be. But it's definitely not good news for PayPal. So I've had PayPal in this broadening range for ever since it was like here, and it has deemed respectable the whole time. But it did break through that, as you can see here. It could bottom soon. I mean, PayPal's still a really good company, regardless if they're buying Pinterest for $45 billion, which is completely overpriced. But regardless if they're doing that or not, it is still a good company. So you could see a base, I would say, like it is around the 240s, 230 range. So if you're looking at PayPal as a long-term hold, I would start eyeing an entry very soon. I don't think you're going to see very much downside from here. It is a bit extended, but it would be a good idea to start eyeing an entry. I'm not saying Monday morning go buy shares of PayPal because you like the company. I would wait for it and see if it's going to go down a little bit more. You could get a cheaper entry. CGC, yeah. Not much to talk about here. Kind of the same thing with every cannabis company. It made its high off that cannabis high that everybody was profiting on. But just like all the other ones, it has came back down and is basing in the $13 range between the 12 and 13. If you're looking for a short-term play, I would look a break above really the $15 area. It would put it back above this volume node right here. Other than that, I don't see, unless you want to accumulate shares in this cheap area. If you think this is a good company to long-term hold, then this would be a good area to start doing that. Other than that, I don't see very much opportunity. Just going back to EPS, it has earnings this week. FTX dropped on earnings because fuel cable loss. Yeah, that's actually a very good point. ZB. So, like I said earlier, when it comes to sectors, a lot of sectors will have the same difficulties when it comes to negative catalysts like that. Like fuel cost is going to be something that overflows not into just one company, but UPS could see the same thing. So if you're holding UPS, I don't recommend holding through earnings, just like any other company, regardless if you think it's a good stock or not. So FTX dropped on earnings. Could UPS overcome those? Yeah, it depends if they announce the same thing. It could still fill the gap with the 210, but let's see exactly when the earnings is. I didn't look at the date. So earnings is, tomorrow. No, Tuesday, sorry. Right? Tomorrow's the 25th, Tuesday. It just depends on what's said in earnings. I didn't catch that when I was charting it out just now. But yeah, so earnings is coming for UPS. So it could potentially not fill the gap. It just depends on what they announce during earnings. So they're probably going to announce the fuel cost just like everything else is. But if their outlook for revenue or the earnings per share is extremely well, then that could override it. But that's just all speculative at this point. And this run up right here into the gap is probably 100% pricing in that earnings. So I would definitely expect maybe to see some downside unless this is an amazing earnings report. Which even we all know that could definitely, a good earnings report can still turn to downside. anytime. Let's see, what was there more? Body for equity. Yeah, so body is a D-SPAC. It used to be FRX. As you can tell, a lot of D-SPACs are not doing too hot. I'm not sure what they're doing now. I'm not sure if this is a good company for equity. A lot of the D-SPACs are not. I wouldn't buy any because a lot of the companies that did go through SPACs and were D-SPACed were proven to be pretty shitty companies. So as we can all see, DWAC, which was the 2000% runner or whatever it is. It is a SPAC. For all of you that don't know, a SPAC is a special purpose acquisition company, and it is what people use to get on the market faster, per se, in simpler terms. But a lot of companies that go through SPAC end up going through the merger and then dumping after SPAC, and that's what you see with a lot of them. So you see that with Body, you'll see that with whatever that electric van company was. CCIV was a SPAC, and I think it's the only one that has not gone below NAV, meaning NAV was $10 at a SPAC. The floor price was $10. It wasn't possible to go below that, other than like $9.85 or somewhere. But as soon as it became a D-SPAC, a lot of them you'll see dump below NAV. CCIV, I think, was like the only one of the only ones that ever went below NAV, and it's still holding above the NAV, which was the $10 range. So I mean, equity for Body, I mean, this looks like an okay place, but it could see further downside. I'm not sure. It's an uncharted downside territory. I'm not sure what the company is, and then like Arnold Schwarzenegger is like and LeBron James are like spokesmen for it or something, but they'll put their name on anything, so who knows. Spot. I don't know if I did Spot already. Or I did Shop, I think, not Spot. Oh yeah, this is actually when I was thinking about. I charted this out the other day and posted it. Spot actually looks I like it a lot right here, especially if we see more upsides in the market. But this is one that is very dependent on the market, and this is one that's also having earnings report soon. This is one that I'm thinking about actually doing a lotto through earnings, which I hardly ever do. But it does look good through earnings. So it does look good up to earnings. It doesn't look like the earnings are being priced in. It's not making too dramatic moves on the upside. So these are a lot of times when you don't see like super dramatic moves, you won't see super dramatic reactions beforehand and afterhand. But it is trying to break out of this wedge right here, and so if it does, I'm thinking about taking a lotto through earnings, which is on the 27th. Just know if I ever take a lotto through earnings, I'm expecting to make $0 off of it, because if it does go the opposite direction, the IV crush will completely make it worthless. Yum. Yeah, we can look at Yum. So it looks like Yum is trying to reverse here. You see how it base right here, which was the top of this swing high here. So you are seeing it kind of doing a basin movement here. And it is consolidated once again. So it is another little area of consolidation. But it does look like it is trying to reverse and trying to make another upwards trend. So I would say back over like the 127.5 area will be a good play for maybe short dated calls. If you know the company and you want to swing it, then I would definitely look for a break over like the 128, somewhere around there, for a confirmed break out of the consolidation. If you want to swing it for a couple days, if you know anything about the company. UAA, Under Armour. I've actually never played Under Armour. Let's look at it on a weekly, because it kind of not much to go off of there. Oh yeah. So you did see kind of a round of formation here, which doesn't mean much on a weekly. On this one anyways. But it does look like it's having a hard time breaking this high right here. As you can see, it's bounced off of it. and back down. And it's kind of in this channel right here, kind of a wedge formation. I would look for, it does look like it might have some potentially more downside, but it is at a psych level, which is a good spot for a potential bottom here. So you could see it bounce off that $20 range. For confirmed move back up to the upside, but possibly to this upper trend line, I would look over around the 20. First, I would look over the 21 definitely as a psych level, and then the 22 as the next psych level. For a possible move back up to this upper trend line, maybe the $25 range. Kev UPS. I would assume you know everything about UPS. I think I did all of them. If you guys have any questions, you can post them in the general chat. I'll be up on here for a few more minutes. If not, then I will pause the recording and go on my merry way. I am going to post the list tonight. I'm actually going to chart it out and do it now. I have my tickers already, but I am going to chart out and do the list tonight. I do have to go to work tomorrow. This is my last week of employment. I've been ready to not work anymore under anybody else other than myself and James Powell himself. So I'm excited for that. So what to look out for is me, once I finish this last week, I will be 100% way more active in the Discord. I will have 100% more free time. I will be trading every day unless the opportunities do not present themselves. Can you spot? Yeah, I can show spot one more time. What do? I work in the healthcare field. I stick needles in people. Yeah, so this is spot on a weekly. I actually had it charted out already, like, well, most other things. So spot has broke out on the weekly. It looks super good on the weekly. But it does look like it's having trouble breaking this previous high right here. So it did get swatted down after it did try to break over this previous high right here, which is around the 260s. So if you're looking for a confirmed move back to the upside, I would definitely look at the 260 range as a very important level. Over that, you could see some pretty good upside. But it does look like it is trying to reverse now. It does look like it retraced 50% of this breakout from here. It did do a head and shoulders, but it looks like it's reversing that and kind of negated that. But yeah, so I would look over the 260 range for a longer term reversal area. Yeah, I did TSM and Marvel. I know Scope. I know Scope. Oh, I got the name now. Oh, I know Scope JFK. That's kind of rude. I never put your name together until now. Thank you all. Thank you. You're very welcome, everybody. If there's any more questions before I go, please let me know. Any questions on any trades you've taken recently or anything like that, I'm welcome to discuss them. On. Yeah, I did it. I'll do it one more time. This is gonna be kind of a long video. Those who have not watched, we're gonna look at it on a weekly time frame. Amazon was such a disappointment on a weekly basis, anyways. So we waited so long for Amazon to breakout of this channel up until here. So we waited for, I think that's like a whole year. That's like 52 weeks right there. Just for it to break out and get completely swatted back down. I was definitely looking for 4,000 price range, but we did not see that. So as you can see, it is kind of doing a head and shoulders type thing, but I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, well, I don't think it's going to follow through and see more downside, but it just depends on how Fang does as a total. Right now, I'm not really touching Amazon until it possibly retraces back to that 3,300 range, not 33, the 3,250 range or the 3,200 range. Those are very two important areas to watch for when you want to play a bounce play. It did end at the low of the week, so you could see potential downside follow into this week. But I would definitely look at the 33 as a cycle level, 3,300, 3,250, and 3,200 as bounce levels. M, yes, I can do M. Oh, I guess I can do a trade recap on this real quick. So M, what I was looking at when I bought it, I obviously didn't know that it was going to get a positive catalyst after I bought it, so that was just a strike of good luck. But I mean, 99% of the time when people make money off of longer term swings is because a positive catalyst happened after they bought the swing. So if you buy in a good area, a positive catalyst would a lot of times pop it up on good news. So as you can see here, I entered in this area right here because it has been doing this kind of same formation multiple times. And as we are coming to the holiday season, this is a good stock that has performed well through the holiday seasons up until December. It seems to sell off once we get closer to Christmas. So my intentions were to hold it up until December, and whatever we had then I was going to take. So I entered in somewhere around this area, exact number, and I was looking for a break over this area, and we did get it, and it just completely pocketed. It was like a 17% day right there. And it is digesting that move now. I'm still holding a position in it, but it's a free position at this point. It's completely paid for, so that's on the house. I am looking forward to break out of that right now, and then continue to see a new 52-week high there. So yeah, that's the largest move that Macy's has seen, I think, in the last 4 years. Last time I looked at deep dove into the chart. So that's pretty cool that we actually caught that on 2022 calls. Are there any leaps you will be looking at this week? There was a few that I was eyeing, but I kind of want to see what SPY's going to do. If we are going to continue rallying up. But I'm looking for maybe a smaller sell-off to get into leaps again. In hindsight, I should have entered more swings when we were in the sell-up right here, but with the amount of undecisiveness that we were going through, I didn't want to over expose myself to upside positions, and so I didn't. I chose a pretty couple good ones that paid off pretty well. But you know, when you're in an area like this, you don't exactly know. There's no certainty. So I didn't want to overexpose myself, and I didn't. Which, you know, hindsight's 2020. I should have overexposed myself, but that wouldn't have been responsible in that moment. So up until I want to see a small sell-off again, and then I'll be looking at leaps. Maybe Nike is one I was looking at, because Nike is a good company. Snap, I'm looking at, especially with the huge sell-off right now, but I'm waiting for it to base. Snap is a very good company. It just overreacts, just like Netflix does, and Amazon and Facebook, to earnings reports. So it is going to base very soon, I think, and I will definitely be looking at the leaps in the Snap. Some other ones I was looking at was, I think, AMGN. Yeah, AMGN, I'm waiting for it to base, and I'm thinking about doing leaps in that. But these are things that you really have to put on a list and just wait. Hey, this is a good company. I want to be in this eventually, but now's not the time. So, that is definitely not one. None of the airlines right now. That's not an airline. None of the airlines right now I'm looking at. Just because of anything with negative catalysts currently going on in the market, I'm not going to buy right now. So like fuel costs and everything like that, you know, when it comes to airlines, the UPS, or anything that requires that is going to go off, they use fuel for a daily basis. So I'm not going to buy leaps in something that is being affected in the current market. Once that is settled, fuel prices go back down, upside will be in order, and so I'll be looking at things then. ADI. So this is ADI right here. It's actually going for a confirm. It did hit a new high, but it did get swatted right back down. So that's something I would watch for. I break back over this previous high here, which is around the 279 I would say range, and then break of that last day Friday's high, which would be the 180. So it did get rejected completely at the 180 and came back down. So that's something I'll watch for. It's probably a morning pop on the high, and then came back down throughout the rest of the day. Alright. I will upload this to YouTube. I appreciate everybody joining me tonight. I'm sorry for the rough start we had. And I hope everybody has a great week.